Okay. Let me pray and ask God to come into my mind so I can bring a clear message of hope in my story, a clean message. Okay, I'm Brenda L. All right, I am woman, y'all. Y'all ready to hear me roar? Welcome to Cabin Fever 2023. Yeah! All right, y'all, I get a little nervous up here speaking in front of people. Can y'all tell? My clean date is July 1st, 2011. Come on. Relapse is a part of my story. I'm going to share a little bit about in the beginning. First of all, let me thank the Cabin Fever Committee for asking me to come share my story. So I have a little story behind that, y'all. So when they came in, me and some more addicts had went out to eat after the Friday night meeting like we always do, right? And my phone kept going off and people was calling me and I'm like, I'll call her back after I finish eating. I'll call her back after I finish eating, right? And so my husband, he came up to me, he was like, why is this addict calling my phone? I was like, I don't know, maybe something's wrong. I said, let me step outside and call, right? So my granddaughters, they were here this past summer, and one of them's 15, and the other one's 16. So we were outside, and I looked at my text messages, and my sponsor was on there, and I said, oh, something's most definitely wrong. So I called her, and she was like, what are you doing? I said, I'm eating dinner, you know? And so she was like, well, the Cabin Fever Committee want to know if you want to come share your story. And I was like, yeah, I opened a speaker for Friday night. And I was like, huh? And she said, is that a yes or no? So I was like, well, I guess I can't say no, right? So she was like, okay, that's all I needed to know. So, y'all, this t-shirt here that I have on, it represents the tears, all these feelings I had in the inside. Can y'all see it? My granddaughters took this picture because as soon as I hung up talking to my sponsor, I started crying immediately. You know, I was so grateful. I was feeling overwhelmed. All these different feelings running around in the inside of my mind, right? Yourself. Thank you. And, you know, that disease can tell me at any given moment, me, an addict like me, you ain't got nothing to share with them people. You know what I mean? They don't want to hear what you got to say. You can't quote the literature, you know, but my story is my story. You know, where I'm at today in my life. And I just want to say one more other thing. So my granddaughter, she was like, so why are you crying? I said, because Cabin Fever asked me to share my story. She was like, yeah, what's wrong with that? I said, because it's going to be over 1,000 some people there. She was like, so what's wrong with that? So the oldest one, she said, you know what, Ryan, you know how it is when grandma's at the park and she shared her story and there was like 50 people there. She said, just think about 1,000 people. She said, and what's wrong with that? So anyway, like I said, my clean date is July 1st, 2011. I'll talk a little bit about my dad. My dad, he was a chronic alcoholic, right? And my mother left him at when me and my brother was very young, because she said he would come home drunk, punching holes in the wall, wanting to fight her, but no doubt, my mama will fight back, right? So she ended up divorcing him and moving in with my great-grandmother, because her mother died 2 years before I was born. And my dad, I love my dad. by coming here tonight speaking, you know, it's something I need to get with my sponsor about and work on, some resentments and things I'm holding on to about my father. He's deceased now, you know, and growing up, I always thought my daddy was cool and hip because he would come home and me and my brother couldn't wait to go over to, because my great-grandmother lived like right here, the liquor store was right here, and then my dad's mom and them lived right here, so we would go back and forth. So when we were at their house, we couldn't wait for my dad to come home because he was like somebody to laugh at, have fun with, you know, he would play cards with us and different things. However, I didn't know my dad suffered from the disease of addiction. He was a chronic alcoholic, and I never knew what that meant until I got older. When I got older, and I seen how my dad was living, I hated him, I resented him, you know, because I thought about all them times that me and my brother would go over there, or during holidays and birthdays, and we would get birthday cards. And I may get emotional, y'all, so y'all just have to bear with me throughout my story. My dad, them birthday cards and them Christmas cards that me and my brother would get, it would be money that his mom and dad was putting in them cards. And we always thought, oh, my dad gave me this, my dad gave me that. No, it was his mom and dad that was really giving to us and putting his name on it. You know, so, I don't know, you know, one day I just said, you know, if he was to ever die, would I go to his funeral? Probably not, you know, because my dad didn't do anything for me. I never seen my dad work a job. I never seen my dad, you know, be kind and loving, because I used to run away from home when I was young, and I would be at my great-grandmother's house, and I didn't want to go back to my mom's house, and I would take off running. I would see my dad standing at the liquor store, and I would take off running, Daddy, Daddy, and my great uncle, he would chase me, you know, and he would grab me, throw me over his shoulders, and, you know, take me on back to my great grandma's house. And my dad, he never came and said, what are y'all doing to her? What's wrong? You know? But God is funny, you know, because when I got clean and I moved down here, my dad, he had throat cancer, and he ended up passing away while I was here in Columbia. And I still stood on my word and said, if anything ever happens to him, I did not want to have anything to do with him at all, period. I wasn't wanting none of that, you know, but I did step up while I was in Columbia when I was trying to get clean in 2008 and do the next right thing and got the money together to cremate my dad. So, my mom, she did the best she could with me and my brother. She ended up meeting someone else, my sister's father, and when she married him, my sister was born, and I remember that time of my life being really, really good. You know, as a child, I felt safe in that home. We did picnics, we went on family trips. Everything was good, but something was wrong with me in the inside, y'all. Something was wrong with me. At the age of 8 and 9, I kept running away from home. I was never abused, never sexually abused, any of that. But something was wrong, you know, with me, you know. And I don't know, I just remember during that time, I was kicked out of elementary school. I was at school and had a temper tantrum in the auditorium because I couldn't go outside, so they made all the kids that couldn't go outside go to the auditorium. And, you know, the principal, I don't know if she snatched me or what she did, but all I remember is that I snatched her wig off. Yeah. And, you know, and they called my mom and they said, you know, something needs to be done about her. And all I remember, y'all, is that at a very young age, my mom taking me to the hospital and them putting all these wires in my head, running tests and all this and that. And I do remember when I left there, they gave my mom a prescription for me, and they were these yellow pills that I had to take. So when I got upset, they would always say, get her pills, get her medicine, give her her medicine so she can calm down, and all it would do was make me sleep, I don't know if it was calming me down or not because I was always asleep. My childhood was good. It was good. I don't know if I was just being selfish as a little kid, wanting my way, wanting to live with my great-grandmother because I knew she would give me what I wanted. As time went on, my stepfather, he passed away, and my mom had to try to figure out stuff on her own once again, to take care of me and my other two siblings. And I remember my mom working 2 and 3 jobs at a time. We was living with my great-grandmother. And I want y'all to hear what I'm saying. My mom was in all these different relationships, right? After her husband passed away. And I'm asking you to listen to what I'm saying because you're going to hear me say the same thing about myself. So, my mom finally got us a place to stay, and I still wanted to stay with my great-grandmother, and manipulate at a very young age to get what I wanted, because I knew my grandmother would give me whatever I wanted. Eventually, I wanted to move back home with my mother at the age of 14 or 15. I think I was 14 or 15, one of them. And because it got to the point where my grandmother, she wouldn't let me just go down the street on my bike anymore and, go here or walk to my dad's house by myself. And so when I would go to my mom's house on the weekends, I would see that my sister and my brother, they was having a lot of fun. Something that I wasn't able to have fun at my grandmother's house. So I ended up moving back in with my mother. When I moved back in with my mother, like I said, she was working 2 and 3 jobs. I felt like I became that adult parent to my siblings, because I would go to school, come home from school. My mom would always have dinner fixed for us, but I would always have to make sure, at least I thought I had to make sure our chores was done. My brother did his chore, which he wouldn't, and I would end up doing it. My sister was younger, so I would do her chores, and I don't know, it was just different for me when I moved back in with my mom, because I felt like a grown-up at the age of 14, I got pregnant with my first daughter at the age of 16. I don't like to talk about the drugs. I did, all the drugs that you could think of. Marijuana, alcohol, crack cocaine, and PCP. I'm gonna leave it at that because all of it's a drug, right? So in 1981, I had a daughter. In 1983, in 1986, I had another daughter. In 1989, I had a son. 1991, I had a daughter. And then in 1993, I had a daughter, right? So I got 5 kids by 4 different men. I'm saying, yes, So, yeah, because my last 2 daughters have the same dad and the other 3 have different fathers. And, like I was saying about my mother, being in all these different relationships with different men, I kind of picked that up for myself, trying to find love in somebody to love me. I remember during the time, and I may go back and forth a little bit. I remember my mom being in relationships that was abusive. Me and my brother, we would be laying at her bedroom door, like, I wish you would. I wish you would. We gonna kick in the door. But we little kids, you know, we ain't gonna kick in the door. What we doing? You know, we just scared and worried about our mom being in there arguing and fighting and stuff being knocked over. So, anyway, like I said, I had 5 kids, different men, different relationships, just wanting somebody to love me. You know, and all them different relationships I was in, I would be with that person for a minute, he would move on, and then I'd jump into that next relationship with another man, carrying that baggage over into the next relationship, that part of the baggage over into that relationship, not really finding out what's going on with me. What's going on with me, making me want to be with all these different men, you know? I know I suffered from low self-esteem, thinking I wasn't good enough, thinking I wasn't pretty enough, you know, what is wrong with me? Thinking I'm not smart enough, you know, and just feeling less than, you know. After I got into doing the drugs and everything, it became a nightmare. You know, in the beginning it was fun for me. It was very fun in the beginning, you know. But then it became too much, you know. It became too much. I was in and out of treatment, going in and out of treatment, going from one treatment center to another, you know, getting out, still not thinking that I have a disease. Just like my dad, you know what I mean? Just like him, not realizing that something's going on inside of me that keeps making me use drugs. You know, because they say that the drugs is not my problem. I'm my problem. There's something going on inside of you, Brenda, that you need to figure out and find out what's going on. Why do I keep using drugs? You know, I always would say because my mom pissed me off. Ooh, sorry for saying that. Because my mom made me mad. We get into it. So I would use that as an excuse to go use dope every single time. You know, not realizing it was me. It got to the point, y'all, to where I was taking my kids' money, my welfare, my food stamps, selling the food stamps, not paying the rent, was on Section 8 and couldn't even pay the rent. What kind of mess is that? Didn't buy food for my kids, going to pantries, different places like that. And it got to the point where my mama came to my house and she said, enough's enough. I'm gonna take these kids from you. You know, and we got into this big altercation at my house, and you know, my mom took the 2, during that time it was just the 2 girls before it got really bad. She took the 2 girls and took them to her house and was raising them, you know. And it got to the point, y'all, where I would be sitting in the house waiting on that next hit, feeling so alone, feeling a lot of shame, a lot of guilt, you know, for what I'm doing. But I just kept on doing the same thing over and over and over until I get that knock at the door. I get that knock at the door and I'm doing the same thing again. I just couldn't stop, you know. I had my son, and when I had my son, y'all, I did not want a boy at all. I didn't. I did not want a son at all. When I was pregnant with him, I was ready to give him up for adoption. And when I had him, my mom's husband called me at the hospital and he said, is this something you still want to do? And I told him, yeah. Because in my mind, having a son, I didn't want him to end up in prison or getting killed, right? So that's why I didn't want a son. And he said, well, why don't you let me and your mom raise him until you get yourself together? And so I said, okay. I let them raise him. You know, I left the hospital, I went to treatment. I got out of treatment, I started using again. You know, forgetting that my other girls and my son is now with my mom. It's still all about me. I'm so self-centered, it's still all about me. I'm gonna still get high, they okay. Just keep doing you. While they think you're doing okay. But I wasn't. You know, and when I had the other two girls, I was in treatment when I had my last daughter. And I had her, I went into labor in the treatment center, and after I had her, I did go back to treatment. And during that time, I was at this treatment center in Kansas City called North Star, which saved my life back then. You know, it was a 90-day program, and I was able to take the girls there with me, and I got out and I went to a place called Sheffield Place for women and kids in Kansas City, and that also saved my life for a while. I did my aftercare, I did everything that I was supposed to do, but I got high again. I used again. Eventually, I used again. You know, I just want to say this, and it's not to knock anybody's meetings or anything like this, but when I was living in Kansas City, y'all, I would go to meetings and I would always leave wanting to get high. And most of the time I did get high. And when I moved to Columbia, a lady told me, she said, maybe you just wasn't going to the right meetings in Kansas City. Right? Maybe I just wasn't going to the right meetings. Because you know what, y'all? The newcomers are the most important people in any meeting. The newcomers are the most important people right now in here that has 30 days or less. Stand up if you have 30 days or less. Stand up. We love you. We love you. So if you see any newcomers this weekend, you go up to them and hug them and tell them, welcome. Keep coming back. You know, share your experience with them. You know, don't just let them walk around and think, okay, I'm here to meet and I can just leave. No, let them know how you stay clean. Because when I was in Kansas City, and I don't know if he's here tonight, he's an old school predecessor in Kansas City, and I used to go to that meeting every Friday night. I don't want to say his name because I don't want to break his anonymity. I would go to that meeting every Friday night in Kansas City, and my daughters, my two youngest daughters, y'all be right there with me. My mom would be like, go with her to me. Go with her, so she'll come back, you know? And so I would always take them with me, but one thing about it is I didn't know nothing about working steps. I didn't feel welcome at the meeting I went to, and I'm just being honest, I didn't feel welcome. I didn't know nothing about working steps. I didn't know nothing about a step book, and I sure didn't know anything about a sponsor until I moved to Columbia.
Okay.
So just love on the newcomers and welcome them when they come to meetings and let them know, because in my home group, we do recover. That's what we do. We love them. Give me a minute. Give me a minute. So during that time, you know, I just couldn't stay clean. I just couldn't stay clean in Kansas City at all. And y'all know how I said I never wanted a son? Well, I lost my son in 2008. Someone shot and killed my son in 2008, and that was the worst feeling of my life that I ever felt. You know, losing a child before I died. You know, I thought he would always be here to take care of his sisters. You know, but he's no longer here with us anymore. And, you know, I was clean. I maybe had been clean maybe 30 or 60, 90 days or something like that when he passed away. And, you know, my son, he's always lived with my mom because I always raised the girls up myself. You know, I always had the girls. You know, when I was doing good, my mom would let them come stay with me on the weekends and stuff like that. One was down in Fulton, Missouri, and me and my son, by him staying with my mom, for some reason, he was told that I was his auntie. I was his auntie, you know, and so he's not stupid at all. Any kid that young, knowing if I got 4 sisters sitting right here, and they calling you mama, and they my sisters, who are you? Are you my auntie or are you my mama? You know, and I just want to say this because I miss my son so much. I remember when we was in the car one day going to the park, and my mom was driving, and I was on the passenger side, and the girls and my nephew and my niece, they were in the back seat, and my son, he kept going, mama, 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 mama. So my mama finally looked at me and said, answer him. And he said, that's all I wanted to know. You know what I mean? So after that, me and my son's relationship, it blossomed to where he would come to me and talk to me, and I was able to talk to him like a mother, because it got to the point where he was kind of disrespectful and spoiled and rotten by my mother, so he didn't want to listen no more. So the night he was killed, you know, it really devastated me. It really devastated me because I was the first one at the hospital. His friend was there, and his friend was like, he's okay. But when my mom walked in, he looked at me and said, no, he's dead, you know. And the very next day, I did go to a meeting, you know. I worked for the school bus company in Kansas City during that time when he got killed. And I tried to go back to work. And every time I went to work, them young boys, them elementary boys, them middle school boys, them high school boys, they just brought tears to my eyes because I would think about my son. And so, after I think I worked one more day or so, you know, I just didn't go back to work, and my boss, he kept coming over to my house, calling my mama. She called me, telling me you need to answer the door because they're trying to save your job. But, you know, by that time I had started using again to numb that pain. To numb that pain, you know, and forgetting that I had other daughters, that I had 4 more kids. Still being self-centered, thinking it's all about me, that I'm the only one hurting. I got daughters that are hurting. My mom was hurting. You know what I mean? Just thinking about me all the time. It's just all about me. You know, and when I lost him, y'all, my disease of addiction, it took off. You know, I got to the point where it was just like, you know, I was living, you know, just living on the streets like I had nowhere to go. And I had my own place during that time, you know, running around down on 27th Street in Kansas City. If anybody's from Kansas City in here, 27th and Prospect, you know what it's like down there, right? So I'm hanging out down there on 27th and Prospect, dirty, funky, nasty, you know, hadn't taken a bath. So if you want to keep getting high and lose everything, you know, you think this program don't work, go back out never said this before, and I was sharing it with my husband the other night. I said it got to the point where, you know, I was so hungry. Me and another girl would be down in Brooklyn Park, sleeping on a picnic bench at night, all day. Families coming, having picnics and playing volleyball and playing music, having a good time with their kids and everything. You know, and I'm sitting there hungry and hurting and thinking about my kids. And you know what? When them people would leave the park, y'all, we would actually look in the trash to see what they threw away. If it was a hamburger or a hot dog or, you know, something to eat, you know, half a bottle of water or something, some soda or something. Just trifling. It got to that point for me, y'all, eating out of a trash can after somebody else threw their food in the trash. Disgusting, you know? We do recover, that's right, we do recover. Because you never know where a person's been in their addiction, you know. During that time, I always wanted to go back home. I always wanted to go back home. I would, you know, always get a place, lose a place. Get a place, lose a place. Get a job, quit a job, because I couldn't stay clean. You know, that pattern, that same pattern. Get a place, get a car, get a job, to lose it all over again. But you know what? My mama still didn't let those kids come home. She still didn't let those kids come home, but you know what? During that time, it was all right with me. Because you know what? I knew they were safe. I think that's what kept me out there for so long, because I knew my mom had my kids. You are so beautiful, sitting right there. Right there, you girl, yes, you, I think that's what kept me out there so long. You know, I did those jets, you know, I was turning dates for drugs and turning dates just to get high with no money. No, just get me high, you know what I mean? And we can do what we do. You ain't no better than me. You ain't no better than me. If you're gonna sit here and spend your money and you ain't gonna be, never mind, let me back up. Let me back up. But yeah, y'all, I got to that point, you know, and it took my mom, my daughter one day, my oldest daughter, y'all. My girls are amazing. The ones that know my daughters that lives in my area, the Missouri area, the ones that know my daughters, they are amazing. My oldest daughter, one day I was down on 27th and Prospect, and I would always call them, you know, my oldest, because I knew how to manipulate her. And I would call her, and I'd be like, I need some cigarettes, you know, can you bring me $5, blah, 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 I'm hungry. So she came down on 27th and Prospect, and that day she came, she gave me $5, and I didn't buy no cigarettes with it, and I sure didn't buy no food. And before she left, she gave me a letter, folded up, and she said, here, read this later. I was like, okay, baby, I love you, I call you, and I put that letter in my back pocket, ran around for a couple of days, and you know, I opened up that letter and I read it, and she said, we love you, Mama. We want our mama back. We don't need no super mama. We just want you back. You know, my daughters, when I would go to treatment, child, they supported me any way they could. My two youngest daughters, they would always try to fix me. Buy me earrings, buy me personal hygiene stuff, you know. I'm just grateful that I had the type of daughters that didn't disrespect me from using dope. You know, because I know some people that have kids and they so disrespectful to their parents because their parents are addicts. You know what I mean? Calling them out their name, bitch, what, you crackhead, this and that. No, my daughters are not like that, and thank God they weren't, you know. So, my mom, this is what happened. My mom, she caught up with me one day, and she said, let me tell you one thing. You running around here like you're the only one hurting from losing Tony, but you're not. You got 4 other kids at my home that's hurting just like you. You know? I ended up going to jail that night. After she told me off, we got into it really bad, and someone called the police, and I ended up going to jail. But when I got out of jail, I went to my daughter's house, and I called the treatment center in Columbia, Missouri, and I told them that I wanted to come down. I wanted to get make an appointment to get a bed or whatever to get into treatment, you know, detox or something. So when I called, the woman told me, well, we don't have anything available right now, but we'll give you a call, put you on the list or whatever. They called me the very next day. I was not ready, but I had to be ready because I know I was tired. I was sick and tired of being sick and tired, right? So I got here to Columbia, Missouri. My daughters brought me down here. My journey began then in 2008. And when I got here out of the treatment center in Columbia, in Cambridge, I was very, very angry. Very angry. I hated God. That's okay. I hated God. G-O-D, God. I hated Him. He took my son from me. Why? You know? I really didn't want to get clean, but I knew I had to get clean. Do that make sense? I knew I had to do something different. I knew I was tired. I just felt like I was going to go back out, come down here to Columbia, leave, and do the same thing over again. Because I did it in the past. Wasn't nothing working. So I got out of Cambridge, did my, I think it was 90 days back then. I think I did 90 days, 30, 60, 90 days. And my therapist at the time, she said, maybe you need to go to an Oxford house. And I'm like, Oxford house? And she was like, just maybe that will help you out. It will put stability back into your life. You can start acting like a productive member of society. You can get up at a decent time. And I was like, oh my God. So, you know what? I did it. I went to the Oxford house and we had curfews. But you know what? It was really, really hard for me to go to bed early because I was used to being up all night long, you know, and finally my body adjusted, you know, to my sleeping patterns to where I would be in the bed by 10 o'clock. And when I got out, I started going to meetings, and you know what? Thank God for H9. H9, thank you for coming into treatment centers for those who couldn't get out to prepare us and teach us about going to meetings, telling us about meetings. And so, you know, I started going to meetings in Columbia, Missouri. Boy, let me tell you, recovery is fire, y'all. The recovery is fire. So I'd start doing 90 and 90s, and all I would hear every time I go to the meeting, keep coming back. Get a sponsor. Get a phone list. Work some steps. Or die, motherfucker. I was like, oh my God, if they tell me something like that, I'm not coming back, you know, because I was already angry, and you know how they would, we close up after the meeting. I didn't want to close because there is no God to me. I didn't want to do none of that, you know. And I had this one sister in the car. Let me back up a little bit. But I do know I bought some garbage up. I bought my same character defect You know, messing with married men. You know, it didn't matter because that's all I did in the past. Might have been somebody else's boo. I done had a baby, got pregnant by him, came to Columbia and did the same freaking thing. And my husband don't mind me sharing this because it is a part of my story. You know, when I got here, I was looking at this man like, hey, he's cute, you know, and this one lady that was here, may she rest in peace, she said, don't nobody want his ugly ass but you. But you know, and they would say in the meetings, you know, don't get into relationships, it's not in the basic text. It's just a suggestion. Because you know what? That suggestion that they give you, please listen. Please listen. Because behind every relationship in the beginning, you're going to have some chaos. Or your ass is going to go back out there and get high. Or that boyfriend, he's going to go get high. Trust me, I've done it because like I said, relapse is a part of my story after I got to Columbia, Missouri. So, they kept telling me, you know, get a sponsor, get a home group, you know. It's 5 simple things. Get a sponsor, get a home group, work steps, get a phone list, and what else? Be of service. You know, them 5 simple things will keep you clean. Believe it or not, it kept me clean. You know, so I was sitting at the Oxford House one day and I pulled out that phone list and they tell you, you know, if that first person don't answer, call the next person. If they don't answer, call the next person. So I tried something different. I picked up that phone list, that person didn't answer, moved on to the next one, and the lady didn't answer. Oh my God, she was amazing. I was like, well, they just told me to call, you know, you get a phone list and do something different and, you know, build a support system. And she was like, that's okay, but how was your day? Are you going to meetings? Have you found a sponsor yet? Are you working steps? And, you know, all that good stuff that, you know, I should have been doing. So, guess what, y'all? I'm in the same home group since 2008. 2008, I had the same home group. You know, and my predecessors, where you at, predecessors? They kept me clean when I came to Columbia, Missouri. You know, I started listening, I started warming up because after I relapsed and I came back, I let these women help me. I let them help me. You know, I really did. You know, I know for me and some other women, you know, you may feel like, I'm not going to tell her everything. She's going to share my stuff with someone else. Oh, I would never tell her this or that. But you know what? I got completely honest. If I wanted to stay clean, I had to be completely honest about the way I was feeling, the things that I was doing, messing around with a man that's married, about to get a divorce, that's in a relationship with another woman, and I'm saying, he keeps doing this and that to me. It's not my fault I went and relapsed. He made me go relapse. That man ain't got no power over you. That sponsor at that time said, what part do you play? What part do I play in that relationship? I couldn't understand. I didn't do anything. I'm just trying to be his girlfriend and he's out here cheating on me. She said, but what part did you play? I didn't get it for a long time and she told me, the part that you played, that is not your husband. That's not your husband. He can do what he want to do. You allowed yourself to keep getting in these toxic relationships. As you said before, in your step work, you kept repeating the same vicious cycle over and over again. You know, and It's a lot. It's a lot. One thing I can tell y'all is that I am so grateful to be clean. You know, it's not easy getting clean, but it works. If you give yourself a chance, it works. You know, in the first 10 step, they said, you know, you had to admit you was powerless over your disease in your life, over drugs in your life, became under management. You know, so I had to admit that I was powerless over the drugs. You know, the drugs wasn't my problem. I was my problem. As long as I don't put that shit in my body, I do not have to get high. So it is a choice. You know, it is a choice. If you put this shit in your, if you put it in your body, you know, because we obsess and compulse over it. Once you put it in your body, it's over. One is too many and 1,000 is never enough. Right? Okay, so they said, Brenda, just stop fighting, just surrender. So I had to surrender everything. You know what I mean? I had to surrender. Just surrender. Just let people help me. You know, let my predecessors love on me and tell me it's going to be okay. Because it took me a long time to warm up to people. You know, it took me a very long time. And these women here in Columbia, Missouri, they love them. It was like, okay, we just going to keep loving you until you love yourself. That's all I'm going to say. You know, this one friend of mine in the program, she used to say, hey, put your big mama panties on and here, go home and watch these movies and cry, don't cry all day and you'll be all right. You know, and I took the suggestion. You know, I started going to meetings after the meetings, picnics that a predecessor sitting over there would have on Friday nights at her house. And did I feel uncomfortable? I felt uncomfortable. You know, I didn't know y'all. I felt very, very uncomfortable, but I did it. I did it. I would go every Friday night to her house until she moved away. We didn't have nowhere to go. But I went every Friday night and I did something different, you know. I think, you know, I did marry that man that I talked about, that I messed with in the beginning, you know, and I said relapse was a part of my story and I blamed him because he was doing this and he was doing that. No, your ass chose to go get high again and you did what you wanted to do because I don't know how to process my feelings or talk about my feelings, thinking that I'm going to be judged by other women or by that sponsor, you know, and I chose to get high, but you know what? That man came and got me from the dope house. He said, are you ready? He said, because if you're not ready, you ain't never worried about God seeing me again. And I said, just come back in 30 minutes. Come back in 30 minutes and pick me up. And that man came back in 30 minutes, y'all, and we've been married 12 years now. 12 years. Is it easy? No, it is not easy. You know, in the beginning, every day I was telling a sister, hey, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I can do this. You know? Like the sponsor told me, you walk over that stuff. Don't raise the lid down, put it all the way down. Leave the cabinet doors open. You know? You married, you deal with it. Same thing my mom told me, you deal with it. You married that monster. But anyway, I love my husband today. You know, he's a big part of me and my family's life. You know, me and my mom's relationship is better. It is so much better. You know, I always blame my mom for me wanting to use dope, but it was me today. You know, because, you know, we are addicts, right? And people that are not addicts, they're just as messed up as we are, but we have a program. We practice spiritual principles in our lives today, you know, and that's what I do today with my mom. When I feel like she's trying to tell me what to do or I don't agree with her, I just be like, hey, let me because I don't even want to engage in it. Or I call my sponsor, I'm like, oh, my sponsor's calling. You know, and Carrie has helped me. Sorry for singing. But my sponsor has helped me, you know, because that was an ongoing thing with me and my mother. And today, I love my mama, y'all. Anything that I can do for my mama, I will do it for her. Because check this out, one day mama ain't gonna be there no more. She's gonna be gone. You know what I mean? And I try now to spend as much time with my mom and talk to her. I talk to her on the phone be like this. I've been looking at TV, but I can hear what she's saying, but she want to hold me hostage on the phone, you know, but my program of recovery is good today. I'm a productive member of society today. I've been on my job for 12 years now. 12 years, can y'all believe that? And I have benefits and vacation time. And I love my job. I sponsor women because they are the most important people in my life. At times, you know, because they say you have to give away what was so freely given to you. So today, I sponsor women, you know. Love you too. I give them assignments in the first 30 days, and the reason why I do that because I want to build that relationship with them. I have them call my sponsor at least twice a week to get to know her, reach out to other women that has 5 years or more clean, you know. Man. We do a lot in recovery. If you stay, you knew, have less than 30 days, we do a lot, like this convention. Since I've been clean, I've been coming. You know, I'm part of the H&I committee in Columbia, Missouri. We carry the message in. Me and another lady to facilities. I used to be on cabin fever. They're telling me. I used to be on cabin fever, and I love cabin fever, you know. This is one of my favorite conventions, and I was part of the activities committee at one time, and that's a very, very hard committee to be on. So do service work in your area. Do service work. You know, that'll help you stay clean. Do service work in your home group, and I want y'all to do me one more favor before I close. I want you, whatever I say, I want y'all to say it, okay? Keep coming back. More will be revealed. We love you, Brenda. Thank you for letting me share.